If we want to know where we're going, we have to know where we're coming from. So we bring you a special video with the 10 European titles of Real Madrid, Champions League, European Cup. You put the name, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the title. The first one came in 1956 in France in the Parc des Princes against Stade de Reims in a game that started complicated. We started losing 2-0, but then were able to turn it around. This was a face-off between Alfredo Di Stefano and Raymond Kopa, who later on won a Ballon d'Or and ended up playing for, guess who? Real Madrid.
Our second title was won here in Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu on May 30th, 1957. It was a comfortable win against Fiorentina, 2-0, goals scored by Di Stefano and Gento. Di Stefano had an awesome tournament, scoring 7 goals and winning the Ballon d'Or. On the way to this final, we beat Manchester United in the semis. Manchester United was a legendary team, one of the best of this era, who tragically the next year, many of them passed away in a plane crash.
Number 3 came in 1958 in Brussels against Milan. It's a game that ended 3-2. We were winning 2-1 until minute 80. Then they tied it and forced the extra time. But in the extra time, Gento scored that third goal that gave us our third title in a row. Important mention to Alfredo Di Stefano, who scored 10 goals in that edition, making him the top striker.
Our fourth title came just 1 year later in Stuttgart versus Stade de Reims. Stade de Reims had the star striker, Just Fontaine, who was, and still is, the world record holder in most goals scored in a single World Cup, that's 13, but his presence wasn't enough. We won 2-0 with 2 goals by Di Stefano. And a fun fact for you guys, the prize for winning this European Cup was 35 to 40,000 pesetas, which today is 250 euro.
The fifth title came in Glasgow, coincidentally where we won also the 9th in Hampden Park. One of the most beautiful finals remembered in the history of this competition was 7-3 against the Eintracht de Frankfurt. An exhibition by Puskás, who scored 4, and Di Stefano, who scored 3. On the way to that final, we beat Barcelona in the semi-finals, and also Miguel Muñoz became the first person to win it as a manager and as a player.
Our sixth title, we had to wait 6 years for this title. It was played in Brussels against Partizan Belgrade. It was a close match. We went down 1-0 and ended up winning 2-1 with goals by Amancio and Serena. The only player left over from the 5 prior title-winning teams was Gento, making him the only player in Real Madrid history to have 6 titles under his belt.
That's for the black and white history. Now we go into color. Well, we remember 32 years have to go by before Real Madrid were back where we belong. In Amsterdam, we played Juventus. If we remember, Juventus came as favorites. They were a stronger team. They had Zidane on their team. But in a game that we were not playing better, we found that goal by Mijatovic that put Mijatovic in the history of the club. And again, Real Madrid back where we belong as champions of Europe.
In 2000, we won our 8th Champions League title against Valencia. This was history because this was the first time they'd ever seen 2 teams from the same country in a Champions League or European Championship final. This was a comfortable win with goals from Morientes, McManaman, and Raúl, and this was Vicente Del Bosque's first title win as a manager.
And the 9th came in 2002, also in Glasgow in Hampden Park against Bayer Leverkusen, who were playing their first final. This was a game that was being complicated, but Raúl opened it with a weird goal. Then 5 minutes after, they tied with a header from Lucio. And then, of course, we won it 2-1 with that mythical, epical, unforgettable volley by Zinedine Zidane, who put Zinedine Zidane in the history of the club as a player, and hopefully he'll be in the history as a manager.
And the 10th.
And the 10th that came recently, 2 years ago.
It was played in Lisbon against our city rivals Atlético de Madrid, which this was the first time in Champions League history that we've ever seen two teams from the same city. And I remember this game because it was a painful game. I don't know if you were suffering. I was suffering. Atleti scored on us first. Casillas made a horrible mistake, but Sergio Ramos came back, put us back into the game with that awesome header, and then we sort of opened the match up with 3 more goals later in the second half.
Yeah, so actually what I remember from that game was the face on Atlético's players thinking, like, after the first 90 minutes, they were like, oh man, we had it there. Yeah. But then, knowing they had to play 30 more, they just looked like, like, we're not going to be able to take this.
And they couldn't, and they didn't. And it was an awesome goal. That goal by Bale, every time that I watch even the replays, it still gives me goosebumps. That is just that feeling, that emotion, because I really, at some point, at one moment in the match, I thought, we might lose this.
Yeah, it kind of looks like an easy goal, but you have to see like how high Bale jumps. Is amazing. But anyway, Galacticos, that was this history of the 10 European Cups we've won. If we forgot any, please let us know. We don't think we have.
I don't think we did.
But in case, and if you haven't yet liked or subscribed, give us a click, and we'll see you tomorrow.